Duffey, and today I will be talking on the topic of collegiate athletes being paid. Think about it. Collegiate sports is something that brings large groups of people together for the same cause. Although they may be your opponent, you still joke around with them, talk trash on each other's teams, and in some instances, becoming friends with one another. Many high school athletes look at collegiate sports as a way to not only further their athletic career, but in the long run, care for their families and provide them with resources that they may not have always been provided. For some young men and women, sports is the only way that they can escape poverty, abusive families, neighborhoods, and make a name for themselves. Although college is a place for a fresh new start, new beginnings, the athletes that are coming out of poverty may still struggle due to the fact that they are not being paid and cannot afford basic necessities. They are provided food, shelter, and clothes, but other household items that they may need not only through the season, but in the off-season as well, are not given to them. They are not able to work during their season because of practice, film, recovery, and games. Therefore, at the end of the day, being a student athlete is like working a full-time job. All in all, these schools are making millions off of the athletes, and it would only be fair to pay them. Collegiate athletics brings millions of dollars in revenue to their schools, and because of this, the matter of if collegiate athletes should be paid has been a discussion for years among colleges and universities around the nation. First, I will explain the amount of money colleges receive from college athletes and the issue with paying athletes. Next, I will give some solutions to solve this issue, and last, I will give my personal stance with some action steps the community can take. The first thing you need to know is the amount of money that the schools and NCAA make off of the athletes. To begin with, according to the NCAA, nearly 500,000 of NCAA student athletes, more than ever before, compete in 24 sports every year. If you think about it, that is a lot of students that are playing for the conference, which obviously means that they are rolling in excessive amounts of money. According to the NCAA, colleges make on average $18.9 billion off of collegiate athletes each year. According to the NCAA, finances of intercollegiate athletics states that the total revenue reported among all NCAA athletics department in 2019 was $18.9 billion. That means that the schools are making more than enough money to help support the athletes. 56% of the funds go towards the athletic departments, and the remaining 44% goes towards the institutions and other student fees that may need to be taken care of. Secondly, not only are the schools making profit off of the student, but the coaches as well. Dabo Swinney, the head coach for the Clemson Tigers out of South Carolina, is the highest paid coach in all of collegiate athletics throughout the country. ESPN.com stated that Swinney made $9.3 million in total pay. According to 247 Sports, the 25 highest paid coaches in sports, Swinney signed a record-setting contract extension last spring worth over $93 million over the next 10 years. That is the highest paying contract in college football history. He took a big leap on Alabama's head coach Nick Saban, who was previously the highest paid coach in collegiate athletics. This is due to the fact that he led the team to its second national championship and title in the last 3 years. Nick Saban, the head coach for Alabama's Crimson Tide, is the second paid college coach in the country. He has led the team to college football playoffs 4 times in the last 5 years. According to ESPN, Nick Saban makes $8.85 million. In 2017-18, he signed a 8-year, $74.4 million contract through the 2025 season. In college basketball, Coach K is the highest paid basketball coach. He is the head coach for Duke University. CNBC, the 10 highest paid NCAA basketball coaches, stated that in 2018, Coach K made almost $9 million. He is the only coach in the ACC basketball to make it to the top 10. Currently, student athletes are not permitted to be paid through endorsements, athletic or not. However, according to the NCAA, at its meeting this week, the Board of Governors supported rule changes to allow student athletes to receive compensation for third-party endorsements. both related to and separate from athletics. It also supports compensation for other student-athlete opportunities, such as social media, businesses they have started, and personal experience. The overall problem is that the schools are making a great deal of profit off of the student-athletes. Some of these athletes are coming from low-income families, and although many of them are on a full ride, partial, or no scholarship, it is hard for them to go out and buy basic necessities that they need not only during the season, but the off-season as well. The athletes are not permitted to have a job during the season because being a student-athlete is working a full-time job. Each athlete trains for 20-plus hours a week, and that does not include PT, film, and other obligations that they commit to at the beginning of the season. If the athlete is injured during the season, they have to take time to go to recovery and get the help needed to get back at playing level. Not only that, but they still have to balance their schoolwork. Mike Wallace, a current sports journalist, played for Ole Miss in college and later became a wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens. He is an advocate for paying collegiate athletes because he personally understands the struggles that they face. He told Bleacher Report that monthly he would only have $180 left after he paid his bills, and he could not rely on the school meal plan because it was often closed when he was done. In order to resolve this problem, I have some solutions set in place. To begin, a possible solution is that each athlete should make a stipend of $1,000 a month. This will be issued by each school instead of the NCAA. The reason is because the school is the one profiting off of each athlete and has the money to distribute. This is not an excessive amount of money, but it will get them what they need. This will take care of the necessities that they need each month. Doing this will keep the athletes from turning to other solutions that will get them suspended. Like I mentioned before, in 2014, Todd Gurley, a former University of Georgia running back that currently plays for the Atlanta Falcons, was suspended for 4 games in 2014 due to the fact of signing autographs to make money. So, if the NCAA would have implemented this solution, this would not have happened. This will allow them to not have to do any extra work, but solely focus on school and athletics. To implement the solution, each school will have to have each athlete sign contracts agreeing to the plan. They will also have to get it approved by the NCAA to make sure no single athlete is being rewarded more. Another solution to the problem would be to allow the athletes to receive compensations for endorsements. This would include social media and other things related to the athletic program. Having this implemented will allow the athletes to receive a portion of the sales when including jerseys and other things with their names being sold. One last point to think about. We are currently in the middle of a pandemic. However, these athletes are still asked to play their sports and putting their health at risk. Knowing this, paying athletes is going to have to be considered at all costs. I think that collegiate athletes should be paid because the schools make enough money off of the likeness of the players. They bring the fans to the games, and the schools are making profits off of jersey sales and other merchandise items that the fans purchase, along with many of the athletes coming from low-income areas, and athletics is the only way to bring them out. It would only be right to pay them for their talent and work. If the solutions are adopted, it will allow the players to not have to worry about how they will purchase the items that they need. It will also cancel them out from going against NCAA rules and finding ways to make money, which then causes suspension of games throughout the season. However, if the solutions are not adopted, I believe many athletes will reconsider their options when choosing a school to attend. They are putting much money and time and effort into each sport. According to Sporting News, 86% of student athletes live on the poverty line. That is a big number in the scheme of things. So, you the people can help solve this predicament. Sign petitions, contact the NCAA, and explain why collegiate athletes should be paid. And lastly, donate in case of wanting to pay collegiate athletes. First, I explain the amount of money colleges receive from the college athletes and the issues with paying the athletes. Next, I gave some solutions on the issue. And last, I gave my stance with some action steps the community can take. Collegiate athletics brings millions of dollars in revenue to their schools. And because of this, the matter if collegiate athletes should be paid has been a discussion for many years among colleges and universities. Collegiate sports has always been a way to bring people together, not only the fans, but the athletes as well. It is time to focus on something that brings you joy and do it alongside the ones that you love. Many of the coaches think of their players as their own, and it is heartwarming. For many players, their coaches are the only parental-like figures that they know. They give advice and provide them with opportunities that may not have otherwise been awarded. Although the schools are providing the athletes with books, shelter, food, clothes, and many other things, it is still at best interest to pay them. For many of the athletes, paying sports is the only way to get them out of poverty. They worked long and hard on their talents and deserve something for it. Being a student athlete at times is tough and may feel like working a full-time job, but at the end of the day, it is the hard work that the athletes are putting in to make money for the schools and programs.